Metaverse.
The Metaverse.
Metaverse.
Metaverse. Metaverse.
Metaverse. It's everywhere. NFT crypto scams, virtual land property, virtual reality, augmented reality, Mark Zuckerberg, Meta, and Wendy's? It's unavoidable, inescapable, and when even your grandma is talking about it because she saw it on Fox News, well, you know it's a big deal. There's a lot of companies talking big shop, but I'm getting sick and tired of all these people trying to capitalize on the future that they don't actually know anything about. Obviously, with a channel by the name of The Virtual Reality Show, I think I can accurately say you're in the right place to find a major community of people who've actually been living in the so-called metaverse for extended years now. And yet, almost every single one of these entities blindly ignores who we are and where we live, VRChat. I expect the main demographic of this video to be users already in VRChat or other existing VR platform communities, so I want to evaluate for you guys why this constantly gets ignored. Before diving into this video, I wanted to let you guys know that I'll be joining MC Summit on the 16th of this month on a day-long event with 12 TED-style lightning talks covering a bunch of relevant topics about the metaverse like development, design, and use cases, by closing out the event at the Virtual Reality Show studio in VRChat with a tour that you can join in-game with me or by watching their stream. I'll be explaining different aspects of the world and even why I made this place in the first place, and afterwards we'll do an exclusive after party that Thrillseeker's gonna DJ at, because he's also giving his own talk before my block happens, and it's gonna be really insightful and fun for anyone interested in these topics. And 1 in 10 people get a free book by writer Matthew Ball that's got some really good background and insights on metaverse concepts that you might like if you're already interested in this video anyways. So go register with code PHIA because then you can get in for free, and I really hope you'll check out the link in the description to come hang out with me. So let's get into it. The name Metaverse was originally coined by Neil Stephenson in his 1992 novel titled Snow Crash, where users were able to hop in and out of this extensive virtual world at will using virtual reality and augmented reality technologies. It was this extensive and thriving place that could be compared to a three-dimensional or physical representation of the internet itself. The real world in the book was a pretty scary dystopia, so this metaverse served as an escape from the troubles of reality. Now, within the last 10 years or so, we've finally seen the uprising of virtual reality technology begin, especially in the last few years with the rise of standalone VR because of the Quest 2. Point being, interest in the metaverse concept has grown drastically as users imagine the organic progression of how VR technology will intertwine itself within our daily lives. This isn't too far out either. In fact, we're already experiencing a two-dimensional version of this through the internet itself, especially on mobile devices. And now companies are beginning to see this. An opportunity to capitalize and relive the financial boom that everyone missed out on with the birth of the internet. When Facebook rebranded to Meta, of course short for the Metaverse, in 2021, the market exploded. Everywhere you went online, especially in the business tech world, you saw people hopping on the bandwagon with wide-eyed dollar signs and excitement of not missing out on the next big thing. All of these Web3 and NFT collectives promote an open metaverse not controlled by large corporations, where you can prove that you own digital assets tied to your name using cryptocurrency blockchaining technologies. It sounds great in theory, but the problem is there's no good metaverse platform, which is kind of a lie I'm about to rebuttal here myself, so stick with me. When you hear about social metaverse platforms, one of the biggest ones outside of Meta's Horizon Worlds that comes to mind is Decentraland. Everyone was talking about this, how users could bring in NFTs and buy virtual land. The entire platform got a valuation of $1.2 billion because the mainstream attention the metaverse concept was getting. But it's built around the entire idea of what could exist in the metaverse, because frankly, there's not that much content there to persuade anyone to spend their lives living and breathing in it right now. Especially when the encouragement is to spend tons of money on land and NFTs that don't really do anything in their current state. One person named Andrew Kegel bought real estate in Decentraland for $2.4 million with his company. And look, I have nothing against people putting money towards what makes them happy, so by all means, but just saying it's a little absurd to think the original idea of the metaverse was this place so vivid it served as a literal escape from reality, but instead we're throwing hundreds of thousands of dollars to WASD next to Snoop Dogg's imaginary mansion for a couple hours? There's nothing really to keep you there or to escape to. Mark Zuckerberg had to drop 11,000 employees this week because his whole metaverse idea, despite getting hyper mainstream attention, has flopped. He devoted $15 billion into this and now says, quote, I was wrong and I take responsibility for that. There's nothing inherently wrong with the idea of Decentraland and Horizon Worlds and other metaverse projects. It's actually really exciting to imagine the potential futures of each one. And hey, there are communities there that really enjoy them. But the point still remains. Pop culture continues to highlight these types of platforms and concepts strictly on their surface level. But what if I told you that there's a deeper metaverse platform that already exists? Where users spend tens of thousands of hours of their lives in, where they wake up, eat, drink, explore, socialize, dance, and then fall asleep with a VR headset on to repeat all over again. Complete escape and complete immersion. Yes, of course, I'm talking about VRChat. And for many people, it is that escape from the real world that Neil Stephenson originally describes. And no, you don't have to buy virtual land to live here. In fact, the main pull of VRChat isn't that you can own your own land or buy blockchain minted t-shirts, it's the fact that you can create your own land. Whole worlds even. Fully functional experiences and games that get uploaded on a daily basis, more than you can count. And the same goes for avatars and clothes. There's no silly looking default avatar creator you're stuck with. You can customize anything on an avatar to your liking with full control over the body and face expression that brings this insane amount of physical presence to each individual users who choose exactly what they get to look like. There's not just tens of concurrent users like some other social platforms, but tens of thousands all playing constantly at any time throughout the day. How is it that when so many people hear the words VRChat, they stare blankly or groan thinking that it's just full of online degeneracy? How does someone become so wrapped up in a virtual world that they would rather go to a 3D modeled bar than a real one? Well, there's a few things that VRChat does right. And what's interesting is that a lot of these things are exactly what scare people away. The most important one being freedom. The only boundaries you're constrained to are performance limitations and hardware. If you want to sit in a bedroom submerged underwater, go there. Want to try pod racing on Tatooine? Sure, go gear up. If you want to be a ferret with a toilet paper tube stuck around your neck partying the night away at a nightclub, why not try it? Be the opposite gender for a week, roleplay your favorite media characters, be, do, or see anything your imagination can conceive. And anyone can learn to create this for completely free. There's free 3D modeling programs to make your own avatars and worlds that you can learn to use in as little as a couple days. There's very few rules to hold you back from uploading anything your imagination can conjure in any art style that resonates with you. This freedom means that there's something that can and will be made that will resonate with everyone in some way. And there's so much content already uploaded that you can get lost in the awe and wonder of pure human imagination at its rawest and finest form. It's addicting and sometimes even better than reality. And if you look at the original idea of what the metaverse was supposed to be, even in media like Ready Player One's Oasis, that's how people fall deeper and deeper into a purely virtual existence. But this is exactly why people are scared of it too. Freedom means that anyone can do anything, and it's not always good either. One mainstream media source that did cover VRChat recently was BBC, and they didn't like what they saw. One of the researchers posed as a 13-year-old girl and found themselves at virtual strip clubs getting R-word threats by adult men. It's disgusting to think about, and the anonymity allows for a place where individuals can choose to abuse the ability to express themselves in any way they want, by finding enjoyment at the expense of other people. But at the same time, anonymity allows people to find themselves and explore self-expression. I've seen very insecure people learn to be confident, learn how to dance, and many find a place to deal with serious mental problems like body dysmorphia. And this just isn't possible in other platforms where you don't have total creative control over your experience. One of the biggest mistakes constantly I see in other platforms is trying to monetize those abilities. If you need to purchase virtual land, it's really discouraging to go create. If you base your economy off of buying NFTs, it turns many away. It's money, 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 money. But the ability to do things for free actually encourages people to be more resourceful and create things for themselves. And then maybe people eventually do start to invest money, but not in the ability to have perks in game. It's on the creators making cool assets and avatars, which in turn fuels that same fire of creativity. From the outside, many people just see the public worlds full of predators and trolls. They see the sexual content and lewd anime girls and the lack of moderation and see it as all a bad thing. But millennials and Gen Z such as myself are the ones who grew up alongside the internet. We were exposed to a lot of this stuff already as teens or children, so maybe it's just less jarring in a way than the bulk of older adults who are the ones often consuming the mainstream media. Here's a list of the top mainstream media outlets right now. When I go into the search bar in them and look up Metaverse, I get articles that honestly cover the most irrelevant stuff I could hope for. Searching for VRChat is even worse. In this video with almost 5 million views, the journalist spends 24 hours in the Metaverse in virtual reality, to which she somehow deems the most important places to check out is Altspace and Horizon Worlds. Are you fucking kidding me? You've got straight access to the most unbelievably cool, limitless universe imaginable, where people already spend 24 hours living with ease, and somehow you deem this a more important place to spend your time and showcase to your audience of millions? It's mind-boggling. I don't know, maybe for someone like me as a 22-year-old, it's easy to take this insight and information for granted. So I decided to ask someone who's not a Gen Z or millennial for how they feel about all of this. My dad.
I'm in my late 40s, kid growing up in the 80s. I'd say most of my peers have no idea what VRChat is and have a little bit maybe what the Metaverse is just from what they've heard on the news, but most of them really don't understand at all. My childhood was growing up and playing arcade games. VR games and VR headsets and platforms were so far in the future that nobody would have envisioned that you could actually go relive your childhood in an arcade. Why is the media so hung up on Zuckerberg and Meta when there's so much more to virtual reality out there? Why did they only focus on this one aspect? You don't understand what virtual reality is until you put a modern headset on and have somebody, Obi-Wan Kenobi, to show you the way. I imagine most of the media people who are reporting stories, they probably have never put on a headset themselves and really had a true, good experience, and they just don't know what's out there themselves. They focus on Meta because that's really all they know. They need somebody to explain it, but it just seems like you can't explain it.
I think he hit the nail on the head. Without someone to show you the depths of what VRChat or virtual reality really is, nobody can really comprehend it. Crypto is crashing, Meta is laying off employees, and yet, VRChat's player count is growing, and I think that speaks for itself. The point of my channel, along with other social VR-focused YouTubers, is to share what's really going on in here. To share the culture, the creativity, and the freedoms that actually define the Metaverse. It's not the future, it's the now, and it's beautiful. Subscribe, like, and comment on this video, and consider joining my Patreon to help support me making content just like this. And again, I hope you'll go check out the MC Summit event that I mentioned at the start of this video. Anyways, I've been your host, PHIA, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye! Special thanks to this month's Patreon members and virtual VIPs: Connor Terrell, Dutchman101, GS Genesis, Jean-Felix Monin, Kaimis, Kaze Ryu, MJR117, NNN, Neoplasm, Nayer, Penny, Prism, Rye 600003333, Score Maller, Snake 8 Head, Signerth, Third Eye, and Sally Wasituna.